Dude, I'm vibing to the music. Happy Friday, Yanko, and all you beautiful people out there who have tuned in for episode 11 for no particular reason. My name is Kerri Lewis, and I am with my fabulous and wonderful and beautiful friend, Yankov, who is a hypnotist and talks all things just like me about love and healing and whatever comes to mind. So what's coming to mind for you today, Yanko?
Happy Friday, everyone. And I'm happy to be here with my co host, Kerri, who's also a coach and a speaker. And she has a wonderful community of people that it's just great. Um, it's called Having a Tough Conversations. Correct me if I'm wrong on the name.
Yeah, nope, having those tough
Yeah.
conversations, which is so necessary to get your needs met. And sadly, whether it's in corporate America or within a relationship, we don't have those conversations enough. And as a result, our needs aren't met, and that spirals into suffering, right? So, yeah, it's really important to me to have those tough conversations. So I'm curious on this beautiful Friday. I'm super pumped, y'all. I just
Yeah.
got
So
off.
nobody likes that, but if you feel like it, check her community. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll receive that. But yeah, so I was just cycling, and I was cycling to get my energy up because I was kind of
Did
feeling
you froze
meh.
up, or did I froze up?
I think you froze up, or maybe I froze up. I don't know who froze up. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me, Yanko? Yes? I do believe, y'all, that there's a delay. I'm not sure if it's on mine or
Well,
yours.
keep on going.
Oh, I will keep going because let's keep it real, guys. I can talk for the full
Yeah,
hour
I can
with
hear you.
no problem. Okay, so anyway, what I was saying, wow, me and Yanko were figuring out our life, which we still haven't figured out. And that's part of the beauty of this human
I
experience.
can hear you. Yeah,
Is
continue on. Yes, yes, continue on.
I love it. Anyway, that's the beauty of this experience is that we don't know what's going to happen in any given moment, and when you can open yourself up to the beauty of what is rather than how you think things need to look be, you actually get to enjoy the ride so much more because you know it's not anything you take seriously, and things unfold in ways you couldn't have really predicted had you had it go the way you wanted, or at least that's my experience. I believe I'm delayed, so I'm going to give Yanko a minute. And then, Yanko, do you want to respond to my thoughts on going with the flow?
Well, this is what we're actually doing now. We're going with the flow. I mean, nobody can plan about having um, intermediate issues with the video going on and going off or whatnot. So we're just going with the flow, and it's not something we like to have, but sometimes that happens, and we just have to go with it. Um, yeah, I was thinking of what we can talk about today, and I can't really come up with anything. I'm sure I'll come up with some kind of idea. Um, but see if you can come up with something we can continue with this conversation for.
Oh, I already know. Are you kidding me? I come up with stuff all the time because I work with people all the time and issues present themselves. And so I've talked to several people this week who
No?
are going through challenges, whether it's with an addiction, whether it's with a physical diagnosis that they've been given, or whether it's in
Yeah.
relation to another person. And all of
It
these,
is what it is, you guys.
you are so delayed, Yanko.
Sometimes we're having technical difficulties, and I don't know what to think of that. Well, let's make the best of it. Sometimes life gives you lemonade. Sometimes,
Do, 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 do. Okay. All right. So I'm going to just keep going on with what I was saying because I think it's a profound topic to talk about. So here's the reality, guys, is in all of the conversations I was having this week, these beautiful people who are loved by many talked about how they didn't want to share what they were going through with either loved ones or with people who could support them because they were afraid that they were going to be a burden, right? That they are going to impose upon another person. And as a result, they sat with these experiences by themselves, right? And what I shared with every single person that this kind of issue kept coming up for me is that we heal in connection, right? Yes, it's awesome when you go in and you do the meditation and you learn yourself. But the reality is when you're going through a struggle, when your loved one's diagnosed with a terminal illness, when you are experiencing a breakup, when your child is experiencing addiction, right? Those are really challenging things for you to navigate, and you are worthy of support from others. And when you create this story in your mind that says that you're a burden, you actually inhibit other people from being able to be support for you, and as a result it can feel really isolating. So I have a call to action, guys, that you're never a burden ever, and it actually is, for me anyway, a profound privilege and honor when somebody reaches out to me and trusts me with a little bit of what they're going through so that I can hold space for them. It's never a burden to me, it's a blessing, because not only am I able to convey love and really wrap them up and see them as they're moving through something, but I also learn too, because where there are two, we learn, which is why Yanko and I do this show, because not only does he have valuable information to impart on y'all's and me, but he learns from me and vice versa. And so I would so wholeheartedly encourage you guys, if you're going through a challenging situation, to stop telling yourself that you're a burden and reach out and ask for help, whether it's with a loved one who can actually hold space for you without judgment, or somebody outside of your family who can be unbiased, that can be really nurturing and supportive, so that you don't have to face hard things alone, because none of us are meant to do this life alone, especially to do hard things alone. I'm
yeah,
going to
and
leave.
you always and yeah, and you always have a support. Like you might not know that you have somebody that you can rely on, but sometimes support comes from unexpected places. You might just go on a walk and find somebody that you can, you know, uh, it's the weirdest thing that actually happened to me. I was going on a walk because I kind of felt heavy and I needed to unload, and I just needed to like kind of calm down in nature or whatever. And then I found this person that I ended up talking for like 2 hours or so. And in exchanging information, it was so wonderful because I felt so great that I was able to share something what I needed with somebody that didn't really know me, and I got to see a different perspective. So that was kind of eye opening for me because like I felt heavy, and then after that I was like, huh, I got something to think about. So yeah, don't feel like you don't have options. You always have options. You might not see them right in front of you, but you always have options and support. Like, you won't know when one door closes, another one opens.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I would add to that, Yanko, is we know when something's wrong with people we care about. We just know, right? Energetically, you can feel that. And what I
That's right.
encourage people to realize is that if you just say, I'm going to use this for example, just say you're struggling with addiction and you're in guilt and shame, but you're too afraid to reach out and ask for help. Okay. The people around you know something's up because your energy's off. But because you're not sharing with them what's going on, they're making up stories about what's going on. And oftentimes, because we operate from
Yep.
ego, we're making up stories about ourselves. Oh, my mom doesn't love me anymore. Oh, it's my fault my mom drinks. Oh, it's my fault my mom, right? So all of these narratives are playing out in our head. And so the thing I found for me, um, is that as I started to share my struggles, what I was facing with other people, not only did I get the support I needed, but the people who loved me most no longer were making up stories about what was wrong with me because now they had the information needed so that they can move forward rather than just assuming that they know what's going on, because most of the time we don't know what's going on and we cause ourselves undue suffering for making stories up in our head.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that story thing. It's real, and I get to see it even with strangers. When I talk to somebody, they act based on whatever their belief system or experiences is, and you can usually see because somebody will react differently when you have a conversation in a topic that you had conversation with somebody else, and there's something going on. Now, you might not be able to sense energies, but it's something feels off when you're with somebody like that. Or even if it doesn't feel that way, you can even sense it with people not even being honest with you, like when you're having a conversation. So you can sense all those things when it's going on. But it doesn't have to be. My experience is that we can um, do that with our close ones, to be like open right off the bat, and a lot of the times, and so it's a little bit easier to find somebody else, like Kerri said, that'll be more biased towards your situation, so they won't you won't feel like you're being judged, and they won't judge you, and so you'll be able to get like a perspective. And i'm 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 starting to believe that having multiple perspectives gives you a multiple options, and it kind of completes the picture, and it gives you kind of like puzzle pieces. You kind of see everything, how everything fits in place.
Mm, yeah. Well, the other thing, yes, I think it takes practice having tough conversations, right? And to share what you're struggling with, even if it's like a a cancer diagnosis. Think about it. Like going to your loved ones and saying, "Hey, I was just diagnosed with cancer." That can be a really scary conversation, especially depending on who your family is, how they react, what that culture is. So absolutely reaching out to somebody who can, give you that support and nurturing, but also recognizing that you get to create boundaries. And what I mean by that is just using the cancer diagnosis for an example, right? Say I go to Yanko, I was diagnosed with cancer. Most people's default is, oh, I am so sorry, and they infuse you with fear, like, or their own insecurities. You can easily say, I'm telling you this because I love you and I want you to be informed, but I also need for you to be positive around me. So if you can't be positive, that's cool. I respect your where you're at, but I need to be around people who are positive right now so I can protect my own space while I go through this journey. And it doesn't even just have to be about positivity, it can be about anything. Really, the point I'm trying to make is that you get to create the support that you need, right? So if it's being held accountable, right? I'm an accountability coach. You get to say, Carrie, I need you to hold me accountable to meeting the needs of my water intake, and I'll hold you accountable. Or you could say, Carrie, I was just diagnosed with this, but I really don't want to talk about it. I want you to know because I think it's important in your family, but I don't want to talk about it right now. You get to create that. And as you create that, you build the support that you're worthy of receiving amongst the people that you are worthy of having support from as you go through hard things.
Yeah. And like Kara was saying, some people will react and not even know how to react when you share with them, because you might just want to share it as information, not as much as like being judged, like you're having a diagnoses or something else going on in your life. And I love how Carrie put it all together. Like, the way you explain it is like, I'm just letting you know because I feel like I want to let you know, not because I'm looking for your opinion, because you might not even look for opinion. You might just want to have somebody hear you out, so you
Yeah.
can just kind of like talk with somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's such a good point, Yanko, is that sometimes we can come up with our own solutions and our own um insights while having conversation with somebody else, having never had them say anything. It's just like this, the fact that there's another person reflecting back to you gives you the ability to like process what you're going through and then make a more informed decision or gain more insight so you can then move forward with whatever it is you need to process at that time, for sure.
And I love that you brought this on, because that's how I usually work with people. Because like when people come to me for hypnosis or what any kind of issue, um, they made a conclusion based on whatever was going on, and they think that's what's going on. And what I do when I help them get into the trance state, it's give them that possibility to come up with their own answers, because I believe that everyone has all the answers within themselves,
Great.
and
Yep.
they just need the right mindset or the right situation to find the answer. And I've seen that a lot with different people that I've worked with, because like your mind, it's super powerful, where you can come up with many different solutions, many different ways to see reality differently. I usually just tell people like, let's have your deeper mind come up at least with three different solutions for what's going on right now,
Yeah.
and that's how usually that works out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. I've been meditating for like 10 years and I still find the whole process to be just it's intriguing for sure. Cause like I mean, the possibilities are endless. It's limitless. It's infinite. And that's why, when people tell me they're stuck and they can't move forward, I'm like, that is the illusion. Right now the choices you may have to decide between may not be pretty, right? Like I was in a
That's right.
marriage that didn't serve me and then I had to leave and walk away from my stuff. Neither choice was necessarily ideal, but I did have a choice. And so when you open your mind up to limitless possibilities, it gives you, I believe, the ability to have hope to move forward to a brighter future, which is, I think, ultimately why you and I do what we do, is to give people the tools and empower people to, you know, have that hope and to take small actions so that they don't experience um the life that they're stuck in that doesn't feel good for them, or a situation they're stuck in that doesn't feel right for them anymore.
Yeah, and that's usually because when you get stuck in the mind, you're waiting for some kind of logical solution to appear. You're basing more your choices based on logic instead of everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
Logic, it's a good thing to have, but it's only limited to that. You're not getting all your other senses involved on making that decision, uh, because sometimes logical things are making sense. And I'll give you an example. If somebody is afraid to get on a plane, logically thinking, they might say, "Well, flying it's the safest transportation nowadays, and there shouldn't be like any reason for me not getting in this plane," because you're thinking logically, but there's also the emotions beneath and everything else that plays a role. And you're getting that anxiousness going on, and you're pumping the brake, and you're like, "I don't know why I'm doing this." Yeah.
It's so funny you bring up
Ah,
planes. I can't tell you how many people I talk to who are afraid of planes. I'm like, I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. I just don't get it. But anyway,
well,
on a whole nother topic, I'm going to be 44 on Tuesday, and I'm super excited about this. And I'll tell y'all why. Because when prior to being 21, I actually never thought I was going to make it to my 21st birthday. And that's because of the life I lived, right? I did a lot of drugs. I was promiscuous. I was in a very abusive relationship. And so I just kind of chalked up the fact that I would not make it to 21. And now fast forward 21 years later, and I'm sober. I certainly don't exist in abuse anymore. And now I'm here serving you guys. And I just want to say that it's taken a lot of work, but I've gotten here, and I trust that if I can get here, you can get here. And it just takes one tiny step. And if anybody is out there watching, you know, you can do it by yourself. I did most of my journey by myself. But I've also had coaches, and I can tell you, doing it with somebody else to support you, to walk alongside you, is a hell of a lot better and feels more kinder to yourself than doing it alone.
I'm glad you brought this in because I know your birthday was coming in soon, and I was gonna ask you about it. But I'm also glad that you brought it in. That looking for support from somebody else that had that experience, because you don't have to rediscover everything. If somebody else already discovered how to do it easier, won't you want to help? Like, instead of trying and failing and trying and failing until you kind of find your way around, wouldn't it be easier to just say, "Hey, how did you do it?" or "Give me your opinion about it," or how it's done. So,
Well, I mean,
yep.
but here's the thing, and this is what I think is really, it's actually why you and I connected, and why I resonate with you so deeply. Because as a hypnotist, you don't say, okay, well, I'm going to, take you into trance, and I'm going to heal you from this thing, and you're going to be all happy go lucky, which I hear some people say. You recognize that it takes work, right? We have got to do the work to be aware of our thinking mind around the repetitive thoughts that continue to circle in our brain until we start to break free from them. And that takes work. And also, the work that I've done to break free from addiction is daily. It's moment by moment, and it takes consistency. And I think it's amazing to have a coach to walk you through it. It is a personal journey though, and you have to be willing to do the work. And I tell people this all the time, because in our society, Yanko, I people are looking for the quick fix. They're looking for the thing that's going to make them feel better. And for me, that's not reality. I think you grow and expand and evolve through effort, through moving through difficult and not doing it alone, but
I
certainly
know.
holding yourself accountable to do the work.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if there is no difficulty, in my opinion, you won't have the desire to change anything because you're just gonna be in this like state, and you're not gonna want to do anything if everything it's there for you. But the bottom line is, we're here to have this experience, and along the way we got sighted and choose a different experience, and we forgot that we can have a different, all kinds of a different type of experience. And in there is always, there's always the option to come around and have a different experience, if that makes any sense. I kind of like tongue twisted the whole thing.
Well,
um,
I
but
mean, I think you always get to choose a different perspective, right? You always do. I
right.
had this conversation a couple of weeks ago with my community. You get to decide how you see things. I'll give you a really great example, and this is a true thing. About a month and a half ago, I asked my twin sister to celebrate our birthday together because the past couple years she's gone and done her own thing. Fast forward like 3 weeks, her best friend got her a room in Delaware to be on the boat. Now, she did invite me, but it's just not something that I have the ability to do right now. And so I had to decline. I could easily have felt victimized by that, really. And my ego wanted me to. It's like, oh my God, my twin sister, this is how many years are in, and I haven't spent time with her. Or I could say, wow, my sister has somebody who loves her profoundly, who wants to, take her and celebrate her. And I will be able to see her on my birthday, and I don't know how things are going to unfold, but I know that it will work out in the highest good for everybody concerned. That was my choice. And the distinction between the two choices is this: one makes me feel poopy and yucky, and the other feels really good. And how do I want to live my life? Well, many of you know, I'm like committed to sitting in joy and peace and like just love. So it makes sense that the choice I made is to just sit in love and gratitude and be glad that she was able to have her experience, and I'll be able to be with her on my birthday. And that's what you're talking about, is giving yourselves permission to get curious about the stuff you're telling yourself, and ask yourself, does it make you feel good or does it make you feel yucky? And if it makes you feel yucky, change the story. I mean, it's the situation, still the situation, but how you perceive it is entirely up to you, right? I grew up in a very uh emotionally challenged home. There was a lot of stuff that went on. And then I fell into addiction and stuff. I could easily be like, well, I grew up this way. So I turned. No, I decided I want to live joyfully. I want to believe that people do the very best they can, which is true. I believe that. And so I'm going to change my perspective from one of feeling victimized to one of feeling empowered and saying, hey, I had all these experiences, which gives me the unique ability to hold space for other people with similar experiences so I can love on them and meet them where they are, and hopefully pull them into a place of joy and love like myself. So I'm always grateful. But it is a choice. And I think that's where you and I continue to do the work for ourselves, is choosing that perspective. I think that is the work for me anyway. That's the work.
Yeah, and I'm in the same boat as you at this one. Everyone, I think they're not bad people. They're just making the choices they can with the resources they have at that very moment.
Yep.
So, allowing, just looking at from looking somebody from that perspective, it'll give you a whole different perspective to see them through. And and also then you're not imposing your own filters and insecurity on that person, because they're just doing the best they can with their given resources in that moment. So
Yeah.
This is why you and me were just like we're circling around the same thing all the time.
Well, well,
Even
well,
so, we're doing different things.
we do different things, but it's the same. Like, and that's why, I again, I gravitate toward people who are always doing the work, because here's the other thing I really want. First off, anybody in the audience who has any questions, last week we had a great dialogue with somebody in the audience, so please feel free to ask us questions, and or you're welcome to jump on if that suits your fancy. Yanko and I really do this show, one, because we enjoy each other's company and we're constantly just having a good time, but also we really do want to add value and give insights and hopefully a different perspective to somebody out there that might just be that thing you need to move forward in a different way that makes you break free of being stuck, right? That's so important, so please feel free to reach out. And the other thing I want to say is, um as you do the work, you build this unshakable, indomitable will and faith in yourself. Like, I am resilient as heck. At this point in my life, there's truly nothing that I can be faced with that I know I won't overcome. Truly, there's nothing. And that's a pretty profound statement, right? When you think about, we live in an infinite universe, and I don't know, like, maybe aliens could come on and try to blow us up, like in 4th of July, Independence Day, whatever, right? But no matter what, I've moved through so much hard. I'm not afraid to face hard. I'm not. And I want that for other people. Don't be afraid to face hard. And I'll give you another example that just truly, Yanko, this was like a you're doing a good job, mom moment. My One of my daughters said to me the other day, and I'm not going to say who, because that they're going to give their phone number to somebody they like. That's a huge thing, because my children grew up with a mom who struggled with alcohol. There was a lot of, emotional despair in our house, and anxiety's been present in our home for a while. And for this person to be brave enough to say, not only am I going to do something that's out of my comfort zone, but I'm going to be brave and do it. I was just like, yes, because there's a possibility that my child could be rejected, and they know that, but they've seen mom be rejected over and over again, and I keep showing up and I keep putting myself out there, and so now they're showing up and putting themselves out there, and they see, okay, well, mom's still okay, mom's doing all right, even though people have, said no to her, so maybe I can do that. And that's what I want you to know, is that if you do the work, you get so brave and so resilient that the outcome isn't a big deal, because the fact that you showed up and showed out is the gift, right?
Yeah, it's mostly is knowing to me. Like, and in the back, I just know that I can do anything. Like, it's just like, okay, let's see what's going on here. I know I can do it. Let's see how I'm gonna do it. It's more of a. It's not more about like, can I do it? Maybe I question myself. It's more of like, I know I can do it. Let's see how I'm gonna do that. So the more you do it that way, the more you have that like like knowing that you can, and there's
Exactly.
nothing that prevents you from like doing that.
I love how I'm like looking at Tarek's thing, like I can see their face. I'm like, hi. I am so funny. I'm
He
so glad you
he
joined us.
he,
We're
he
talking about doing the work, and then the resilience that you build. You know what? I'm going to tell you. You know how I knew? I knew that I was on to something when I worked with really powerful people, perceived powerful people, right? Because that's a story. But like in the world, these are highly successful, very affluent, wealthy people, right? And at the time, I had this idea that because I didn't finish high school, I wasn't equal to people. But then I worked alongside them and I was not afraid. I was like, I'm gonna, like, I know I have the intellect, I know I have insight, and I know I have stuff to offer. And it was in that moment that I knew, I was like, damn, I really can do anything because I don't cow like cower down to anybody. I don't care who you are. I don't think I'm better than you, but I don't think I'm less than you. And when I understood that, I knew I was intrinsically powerful, which we
Right.
all are, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. And when you get to a place when you're not even have any expectations of the outcome of whatever you're doing, like you can do it, but it doesn't become a part of like, am I gonna do it like a certain way or whatever? You're doing it, and any way you do it, it's gonna be the best way it could have happened. And then when you work with that, then it becomes a totally different game. It just, you're just like uh, almost like you're in it but you're not in it, like you're seeing how everything unfolds and how everything comes in, and sometimes you just go like, wow, did it just happen? Like, how did it happen?
Yeah, but so I find that happens with my writing. You know what I mean? And it's so funny because I've kind of strayed away from writing in the past year. It hasn't called to me like it once did, but the way I write, I'll read it and I'm like, I did not write this. I don't know who wrote this, but it wasn't me. And of course, it's my writing, but it's that, like, it's just much to what you said earlier. It's like this profound knowing that is a well of insight that you can't pull from your logic mind. I really don't think your thinking mind will actually prevent you from getting to that, like, just
Yep.
knowing,
Yep.
you know what I mean? And I
Yep.
forget, I was either reading a book or I listened to a podcast the other day, but it was about yeah, it was a story about, oh, it was the Jonas brother. I was listening to his life story, like a little blip, and he said his father's a pastor, and he said, whatever his name is, when you know and you just know, then you know. And it's like, what does that mean? But
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say.
yes,
Yeah, what does it
exactly.
mean?
You can't put it into context. It is what it is. And I was on a call with a client earlier today, and I was telling this client who's, a pretty powerful woman, and I'm like, don't try to understand it. Like, so just go with the knowing. Don't try to put it into context, because it's when you try to put it into something you understand, you lose the essence of what it is you already know. It actually diminishes it in some capacity.
It's the flow. That's
I
what
know
people
that's
are talking about,
what
like when you're in
anybody
the flow.
like, what are you talking about? I totally get it. All I can think of is when I first read Eckhart Tolle like 20 years ago, and I hated the book so much. I'm like, this man is killing me. Now I read it easily and it makes sense. But back then I'm like, "Ugh, if I sound like that to you, totally understand." And you can just be like, this chick is out of her mind, which I could be, and that's okay too.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I get that lately too. That it's just that when you're in it, you're in it, and it's kind of like, if I can compare it to something, it's gonna be like the cloud. When the cloud come out first, people are like, it's the cloud. So how do you know what the cloud is? It's like the fog.
You know what? So for me, my true north and how I know, if I show up as love, I'm good. I don't need to know anything else. I don't need, if I truly can show up and just be with somebody or be in my experience and be love, then That's enough for me. I don't need anything more than that. And it sounds so wooey, but it's such a peaceful and joyful place to be, and I don't want to leave that place, and I don't have to leave that place, so I don't.
Yeah, I was thinking about something else the other day. You know, in regards to that, when I was young, maybe in my childhood, everything looked so vibrant. Like everything was so 3D. It was so like I don't even know how to explain it though. And and from time to time, I got those moments now, and I'm thinking like, how did I forget how to have this and be in the moment and have this experience when you're just being and having this surreal like being and so it's really hard if you stop trying and just being. If you're just being, then there's nothing else to do.
You remind me of this morning. I was sitting with my daughter. She's getting ready for her bus, and I had my 1-year-old nephew with me. I'm holding him, and he's just like a light. I love him so much. And he grabbed this toy, and he figured out how to turn on the button, and it's shaking and it's vibrating, and you just see his eyes light up, and like just the pure awe. And I was just watching him, and I was like, oh my, like the bliss that this little boy was experiencing from the mere shaking of this bright colored toy and then figuring out how to shut it off and then turning it back on and lighting up. I'm like, that's how I work to live life at all times now. And um I haven't figured it out 100%, but I get there a lot, and it's again, it's just it feels yummy, right? When you choose between icky and yummy, I'm just always choosing yummy. So
Yeah,
on that,
yeah.
we need to wrap it up because I have to go get my children soon. Any final words of wisdom you have for our beautiful community?
If life gives you lemons, you make a lemonade. How about that?
I
No, but
say,
that's what.
no, I'll be eating cheesecake with strawberries or double chocolate cake. That is yummy for me. Lemonade
Yeah.
is it's mid. It's alright. Nana loves lemonade. It doesn't do it for me.
Oh, it's very good on a hot summer day. but
Give me
uh,
water,
but
baby.
no, I know.
Oh,
I
Tarek,
was
you're
just
with it.
that.
Watermelon. Yeah. Tarek remembered last week and by the way, my sister got a watermelon. So I manifested a watermelon that night because Yanko was talking about watermelon and I'm like salivating over this watermelon.
Yeah.
But no, it's
I won't go on with the watermelon because we have the same effect.
I know. It's cool. I've already cultivated the feelings that I'm gonna get when I eat a really good piece of New York style cheesecake with macerated strawberries on top, or a double chocolate cake, or both. Who knows? I'm in a bulking part right now because I'm building my booty up. So we'll see. Who knows? See, Tarek, you know. See, Yanko put us in the watermelon mood, but
See, there you go. You had a watermelon in the following day. Well, it's summertime, so you do whatever you can to keep yourself hydrated and in a good vibes. And if the watermelon does it for you, go for it.
I like I literally you said it sometime. I'm thinking, what is it? I think it's oh God, who is it? Now I can't remember the song. Who sang this song? Summertime in the busy busy. I know who I know the dude, whatever. Okay. On that note,
I know the song, but I can't think of the artist. So I'm on the same boat as you.
oh my gosh, I know too because like I listened and it's like right there. Sublime. Is this it's sublime? Anyway, I think, I don't know, whatever. On that note, guys, this is a perfect ending to the show for no particular reason because we never know what we're going to talk about. Um, as I said before, my name's Kerri Lewis. You can find me across all channels at kerrilewis.coach, as well as that's my website. Yanko, how can people find you?
People can find me in hypnoyan.com. I was
Here,
thinking about something, but I'll share it next week on the next Friday.
hear it.
Remind me to do
Close us
that.
out with your words of wisdom, Yanko.
Yeah, Hypno, www, Hypno, like hypnosis, in Yan. When you smash Hypnoyan, you got Hypnoyan. And .com, that's where you can find me. And well, I'll love to hear any positive, negative, any feedback. We invite you to come, share your thoughts, and ask us questions. Follow us on social media. And we'll love to have you next Friday. So join us.
Until then, be well, laugh often, and we'll check you on the flip side.